Hi there, weaving peoples and YouTubers and anybody else that's listening. As quite often, I start out my videos by telling you I'm going to start a new project. Why is that a surprise? Okay, so yesterday my wife told me she wanted to go to the local yarn store. Did I want to come wandering along just for curiosity? So I said, sure. Never know what's going to stumble on. She bought some knitting stuff and a book. Great. It didn't interest me. But I was wandering around and I stumbled across this ball of yarn. And the colors just intrigued me. Let's see if I can get it closer. So this stuff, I cannot read Japanese. Okay, forget it. But this stuff is called Noro, N-O-R-O. And then on the back of the label it says Tsubame, or maybe it's Tsubame. It's S-U-B-A-M-E. So Noro Tsubame. Tsubame. I have no idea how to pronounce things in Japanese. I'll show you the label. I don't know if that'll... There's the front where it says Noro. And there's the back where it says that Tsubame. And there's the other label that I can't read, and I don't know if I'm showing it to you right side up or upside down or sideways. I have no idea, but I like the colors. This stuff, the label says that it is 50% silk, 25% wool, and I believe it's merino wool, and then 25% polyester. So it is a single ply, but it's a fairly thick single ply. The label says that if it were a knitting size, it's a number 4. So I'm going to attempt to make a scarf out of this. And I'm going to attempt to do it at 10 ends per inch. Supposedly there's about 650 yards in this 200 gram ball. Yeah, 200 grams. If I'm reading their label correctly, and it's hard to tell. Anyways, I just like the looks of the colors, and it's fairly long variegations, and I'm thinking that this, as both warp and weft, that the interactions of the colors might really look kind of neat. My goal is plain weave, pretty simple. I'm going to aim for about a 3.5 yard warp, which my guess will take just a little over half of this ball, and that's fine, but not much over half, and lengthwise. And then we'll see how this single ply silk, wool, and polyester blend works as a scarf. This has got, I did some looking on the internet, it's got some pretty good reviews from knitters, but of course I don't know how to knit. So I may be the first one to review this stuff from a weaver's perspective. That's it for now. I'm going to start measuring out warp. I'll get back to you in a little bit. Hey again, weavers. Second part of this video. But before I show you the weaving, I gotta show you something my wife gave me. Check out the shirt. In honor of my YouTube channel, and of being married for 30 some odd years, she got me a Curmudgeon sweatshirt. which I think is appropriate for my weaving channel. You can think whatever you want. I don't care. So I'm going to move the camera just a little bit. It'll be a little bit shaky, but there we go. Now let's look down and zoom in a little bit. Whoops. So there's what it looks like. No weaving yet. I've got enough already wrapped around the breast beam here so that I can do twisted fringes. So and this is going to just be plain weave. So we'll go through like that. We'll leave this and put it in over on this side. Take it out somewhere like this. And now we'll go back on this side. See what it looks like. I am not beating very hard because I want to see how it's going to look. I think I can beat just a little bit harder. Feels pretty neat. I'm impressed by the feel of it. Okay, that's enough video for right now. Okay, gang, I think I'm about halfway through weaving this scarf. That's only a guess because I'm not measuring. But there's a couple things going on. First off, you'll notice I put a temple on. I was getting draw-in, and I noticed that this very first string on my right-hand side here, I need to mention, this is single spun, not multi-ply yarn. And with draw-in, I was getting too much abrasion here, and this is already broken once. And part of that is because the way I go around it, we'll start this way. I'm coming around it, and this weft thread, if I just leave it on its own, it turns this thread in such a way that it untwists it from the way it was spun, which reduces the strength of the thread. On the other side, I'm having no problem at all, at least so far. But on this side, I'm having to be very careful about not letting it catch and pull, but taking it out and grab and go in such that I don't untwist that yarn. And keeping the temple on here is helping me with that process. So it has slowed down my weaving a little bit, but At least I'm not having a broken thread lately. And I am advancing the temple about every inch or so. Again, just so I don't get as much draw-in, because draw-in puts tension on the most outside threads, because you're starting to get extra tension on them just when you get up to this end. And I don't want to break this outside thread again. We'll quick show you what it looks like so far. The changing color here to here is where I had to change weft threads. And I'll show you, there's what I've got left of the ball. I'm hoping there's enough to finish this. I'm not overly confident that I'll have enough weft. So the scarf might be a little bit shorter than I had hoped. My plan was for 3.5 yards. That's how I measured it. But at this point, I'm not completely confident that I'll have enough weft to do that. So that's just an update as I weave. Well, gang, this is as far as I've gotten. There's not obviously very much left at the back here to work with. But when I predicted that I wouldn't have enough yarn to do the weft, I was correct in that, which means I was wrong in my original calculations. So I had to go and buy another ball of this stuff, and it's not cheap. Anyways, I bought it, and I had almost a yard of warp to go that I needed warp for, and I wasn't going to just cut it off and waste a full yard of all that warp. So now I've got this less a bunch of weft, and I'm going to do a second scarf, but I've got some additional weft of a different color by the same brand of yarn that I will be using. So this is going to get set aside for now. Now it's time to just cut these off so I can use them for twisted fringes. There we are. Okay, we're around the front. There's the last of my weft. And I'm going to pull this out. You can see what I've got. I am going to twist these fringes. We'll do that in a little while, but for now, we'll just unlock the front beam so that I can roll this up. I guess I should lower you guys just a little bit. There you go. We'll lock this in place again and grab the scissors and cut this off. There's one scarf woven, and now all I have to do is twist the fringes. Well, weaving friends, I'm done with this scarf. In fact, I'm done with this scarf too. They look very much alike at this point because they're all rolled up. So this one is the first one I did, and a while back in the video I mentioned that I thought I was running out of yarn for weft. I was. And I didn't want to make it like a full yard shorter than it should have been. So I went back to the store and got another ball of this kind of yarn, which is called Noro. I speak Wisconsin-ish English, Wisconsin-ish English, not Japanese. So it's called Tsubame. I think that's how you say it. That's how I say it, okay? It's Tsubame yarn from Noro. And this stuff is, where's the content? 50% silk, 50% wool, 50 silk, 25 wool, 25 polyamide. I probably mispronounced that one too. Suffice to say, that's what this is. Set that down. Here's what this scarf looks like. And this is using the same yarn as both warp and weft at 10 ends per inch. And I tried to make it about 10 picks per inch, but I have a habit of beating really hard. So that was difficult for me. Every once in a while I got it a little bit too tight. But you get an idea of this one. Okay, so we'll just put it on to get it out of the way for a moment. And then there's this scarf. Looks the same at this point. The second ball of yarn that I got, I didn't need too much of it for the weft. I had enough of it left to do another full warp, but not enough to do another full weft. So I bought another ball of yarn from the same company, Noro, and this stuff is called Sonata, and it is made of 35% cotton, 25% viscose, 20% silk, and 20% polyamide. It's not quite as thick, so I had to be really careful to not beat as hard on that. But what I did with this one is I wound off all of my all of what was left of the first stuff, the Tsubame, onto bobbins, and I ended up with 6 bobbins full. So I said, okay, I'm going to start and go for however long it takes me to use 3 bobbins of the Tsubame, and then I went into the Sonata, and that was in a tan color. So it starts out this way with the variegated stuff, and then in the middle it's got the tan Sonata yarn, and then at the end I used the other approximately 3 bobbins, which was about 26 inches at each end of the Tsubame. So it looks a little different. In the middle, where I'm just using the tan yarn, which is a little bit lighter, it shows the striping a little better, in my opinion. So there's 2 scarves done. I started out as one project, had to put a second warp on and get 2 out of it. So both of them have twisted fringes. It feels really nice. This stuff is recommended for hand washing only, and then press it. Don't put it through the dryer either. I'm afraid it's probably going to shrink or something, but I think they look really neat. Happy with the project. So I like long scarves. You got to be able to do that with them. And then this, and properly keep your neck warm in the winter. Scarves can be for looking nice, but they're not just decorative. They have a purpose, and that is to keep your neck warm on days like today when it's 0 degrees outside. Or maybe it's 1 below, something like that. Anyways, this project's done. Like most YouTubers say at the very beginning, and I say at the very end, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you the next time around on YouTube, whenever that will be. Bye-bye.